serving up a warm dish of the Triad's culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is The Man Who Ate the Town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 44 of the Man Who Ate the Town podcast. This is for the week of August 8th through the 14th, 2017. My name is Tim Beeman, and I'm opening the recipe box. I'm recording this episode of the Man Who Ate the Town at Test Pattern Studios. Test Pattern is located at 701 North Trade Street in the historic Arts District of downtown Winston-Salem. Check out their Facebook page for their events calendar. That's facebook.com/testpatternbar. I will have a special one-on-one interview with Chef Mark Grohman from Meridian a little bit later in the show. But first, an apology for not recording last week. I was out of town with my wife, Stephanie, and just not able to record. I was out of the studio. So here I am today, though. A little bit of news. The former Dioli's in Rinalda Village, which was the former location of Pane e Vino, has closed. I don't know or think anyone is surprised about this. The food at Pane e Vino was mediocre at best, and there was little personality when it came to the service. It was just time for it to go, and Dioli's to go. Dioli's is still keeping their Italian market on Rinalda further up the road, but the restaurant itself is closed. I think it was just time for it to go. I hate to see anything shut down, but it was just not exciting for me to go there, and obviously not for other people either. Now, there are always rumors about what may replace an exiting restaurant, and this is no different. I'd heard rumors of a creperie, and my buddy Eric Ginsberg from Triad City Beat confirmed that the owner of Pennypath Cafe in High Point has signed a lease for its second location in this building, although said owner Miro Buzzoff is reluctant to say what's actually going on. It's something we don't have in town, a creperie, as far as a brick and mortar store goes. I do love La Vie en Rose, the French creperie food truck owned by Jerome Nicolazzo and his wife Bernadetta. And I really wish they'd open a creperie here in Winston instead of in Lexington like they did. But I am looking forward to seeing what Mr. Buzzoff does with his creperie. I am a fan of both the sweet and savory crepes, so I am looking forward to seeing it, and I hope it does well. There is a request on file with the city of Winston-Salem to throw out the provision that only allows one restaurant with a drive-through window and a GB zoned, that's general business zone site, at the site where Fuddruckers and Nuke's Cafe or Eatery or whatever it was called used to be on Haynes Mall Boulevard. The provision is to keep traffic easily flowing and not having more cars through to congest an area for traffic. This is on Haynes Mall Boulevard, and anyone who's ever driven on that road knows that on some days it can take up to 15 minutes to get from Stratford to Jonestown, and that's way too long. But, well, whatever. The space where Nuke's is massive. I'd heard someone mention something about a bakery, but I looked over the entire petition for zoning restriction change, and I can only see the words fast food. I don't see any mention of a bakery at all. That doesn't mean that there wasn't going to be one. The holdup is that on the same property where the KFC Long John Silver's is, there has a drive-through on the same property there across the way. I'd be very interested in what was trying to get in there and if the city will lift that restriction for the entire city or just make this a special case. The problem is once this happens, then you have precedents, and the next time someone wants it, there will be a fight if they don't get it. I'm all for something being in there, and I'd like to think that it isn't fast food because I no longer eat fast food, but we'll see. If you have any insight on what might be going in there, please drop me a line. I would love to know more and love to report it to my listeners. And two, don't forget that Tim Granadet's Love Festival will be August 10th through 12th. That's next weekend. That's actually this weekend. Sorry. This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I've talked about it before. Just visit springhousenc.com for more information. And come out this Friday. It's when Stephanie and myself and the Beer Dads from the Beer Dads podcast will be there. So Yeah, definitely come out and see us on Friday. And go out all 3 days. It's going to be good stuff. All right, food holidays for this week. The 8th of August is National Frozen Custard Day. It's also National Zucchini Day. And sneak some zucchini on your neighbor's porch night, whatever that means. On the 9th, it's National Rice Pudding Day. On the 10th, it's National S'mores Day. The 11th is National Raspberry Bomb Day, which is a frozen concoction. The 12th is National Toasted Almond Bar Day and National Julienne Fries Day. The 13th is National Filet Mignon Day. O. Henry, the author, who I believe is from Greensboro, his real name was William Sidney Porter, was the first to use the term filet mignon in his book, The 4 Million, in 1906. The French derivative means actually small or dainty filet. Small or dainty fillet. Filet, as we try to make it fancy here in the United States, and mignon, meaning dainty. So, there you go. And on the 14th, National Creamsicle Day, next Monday. Food history for this week. In the 8th, in 1899, A.T. Marshall of Brockton, Massachusetts, patented a refrigerator. On 1905, on that same date, Pillsbury Washburn Flour Mills Company registers Pillsbury's Best trademark. It was first used in 1873. In 1973, Archibald Huntsman died. He was a Canadian oceanographer and fisheries biologist. He's best known for research on Atlantic salmon. He invented methods for quick freezing fish fillets. In 2006, on this day, Krispy Kreme Donuts, our local heroes here, Donut Heroes, first opened its first Asian outlet in Hong Kong, and my wife said there's a funny story about that, so I don't know what that is. If I knew, I would tell you about it right now. On the 9th of August in 1762, Mary Randolph was born. She was a Southern U.S. cookbook author whose The Virginia Housewife is considered the first cookbook of the American South and one of the most influential cookbooks of the 19th century. It contains hits of the influence of African cooking on the cooking of the American South. And Mrs. Randolph was also one of the first to use measurements in her recipes rather than just a list of ingredients. And I appreciate that. In 1881, Clarence Saunders was born. He was the founder of Piggly Wiggly grocery store chain in Memphis, Tennessee, and the first true service grocery store. In 1982, on the 9th of August, Diet Coke was introduced for the first time. In 1996, James McLemore died. He was a co-founder with David Edgerton of Burger King Restaurants. On the 10th of August in 1814, Henri Nestle was born. In 1867, he invented an infant formula, Fawn Lactee, a substitute breast milk for infants unable to breastfeed. He sold the company in 1875. The company kept the Nestle name and later expanded its products to include chocolate and condensed milk. And it is the Nestle company we know today, who owns a lot of stuff. On the 10th in 1889, Dan Rylands patented a screw top for bottles. He was employed at the time by Hope Glass Works in Barnsley, Yorkshire, England. On the 10th in 1920, Vermont Maple Syrup Company registered Vermont Made trademark, a blend of cane and maple syrup. On the 11th in 1858, Christian Ekman was born, a Dutch physician who discovered that beriberi was caused by a poor diet or lack of vitamin B1, which eventually led to the discovery of vitamins. On the 11th in 1903, Satoru Kato of Chicago, Illinois was issued the first U.S. patent for instant coffee. He was the owner of Kato Coffee Company. On the 11th in 1987, Clara Peller died. She was the actress who is famous for her Wendy's TV commercial that said, "Where's the beef?" On the 12th, in 1737, Antoine Parmentier was born. He was a French agronomist, promoted the potato as a food source and instrumental in gaining its acceptance in France. In 1801, on the 12th, John Cadbury was born, founder of the Cadbury Chocolate Company, where we get those delicious eggs for Easter. On the 12th, in 1913, the National Biscuit Company, also known as Nabisco, registered the Oreo trademark. It was introduced in 1912, the year before. On the 12th, in 1930, Clarence Birdseye received a patent for a method of preparing food products by quick freezing them. On the 13th, in 1917, Edward Buchner died. A German biochemist awarded the Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 1907 for demonstrating the fermentation of carbohydrates results from the action of different enzymes contained in yeast and not the yeast cell itself. He showed that the enzyme zymase, I guess I'm saying that right, zymase, causes sugar to break up, and it can be extracted from yeast cells. And that means that thank you for helping beer production as well, because we all know that that's where fermentation turns into alcohol. Yay. On the 13th, in 1957, the Kikkoman trademark for soy sauce was registered in the U.S. And on the 13th, in 2004, Julia Child died 2 days before her 92nd birthday. She was a cooking authority, cookbook author, TV cooking show host, and during World War II, she worked for the OSS. And the OSS is the forerunner of the CIA. So next week, on Tuesday, I'll probably talk about her being born. On the 14th, in 1695, William Oliver was born. English physician credited with creating the Bath Oliver, a very plain, round, unsweetened biscuit or cracker, usually served with cheese. On the 14th, in 1941, Paul Sabatier died. He was an organic chemist. The margarine, oil, hydrogenation, and methanol industries all grew out of his research. And in 1956, on the 14th, the trademark Chock full of Nuts, the Heavenly Coffee, was registered. So, ladies and gentlemen, listeners, we have a special guest today, and I am actually in his location, so if it sounds a little bit different, I'm still working on this equipment, so we'll figure it out as we go along. But we have Chef Mark Grohman from Meridian Restaurant here in Winston-Salem with us today, and we're going to talk about the restaurant, and we're going to talk about the seafood festival that's coming up this weekend.
Yes.
Well, this will be. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend. Yeah, on the 12th.
12th of August, noon to 10 o'clock.
Yeah, noon until 10 o'clock at night. So that's a shload of of seafood, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So this is an anniversary, though. This is 10 years.
10 years, a decade into it, yeah. I think we pretty much have it down by now.
Yeah, well, I think so, yeah. So how did that come about?
10 years ago, we opened up the restaurant, and this neighborhood wasn't really developed all the way yet, nor was the town for that matter.
Sure.
So we decided that in the middle of summer, for the people remaining in town, there needed to be something going on to create a little buzz, something to do, something extremely affordable.
Yeah.
So we decided to do a seafood festival, considering the fact that we get some of the best seafood available in North Carolina.
It's funny how we're 4 hours from the coast, but yet we still get very, very good seafood here.
Absolutely, yeah. It's all about the connections. Over the years, meeting the right people and them doing the right things.
Sure.
Develop these relationships, and we get calls from the boat sometimes saying, "Hey, we just hooked the 300-pound tuna. How much of it do you want?" And it'll show up the next day.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that I saw was missing back then, was good seafood. There was some around. You really had to search it out.
Yeah.
But doing research, there wasn't a seafood festival from the mountains to the coast really back then.
Right.
So being a big fan of seafood myself, I decided to do a seafood festival, bring in some really good quality seafood, keep it really laid back, not typical of what we do here in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And just put on a big old street party.
And so it's on Wachovia Street, right outside the...
right in front of the restaurant.
In front of the restaurant.
Yep.
And you don't close off the Brookstown part, right? It's just the just Wachovia.
Yeah, just Wachovia.
From Marshall up to Brookstown.
Yep, exactly.
And you have you have a plethora of food options for this, and it's not all seafood, because there are some people who just want to hang out with their friends who are not seafood people.
Yeah, or are unable to enjoy seafood.
Right. Some people are just allergic to some or one way or the other.
Yeah, it's a party. We're not trying to hurt anybody.
Sure.
So.
You want people to have fun and enjoy themselves,
Yeah.
and if they're not seafood fans but they want to hang out with their friends, then you have options for that.
Yeah, we do a really good pulled pork barbecue sandwich for those folks, and
We're in North Carolina, so they should be used to that.
10 years into it, I've tried a number of things, and that seems to be one of the favorites.
Why waste money on stuff that you're not going to use when you know that that's a proven commodity in this town?
Absolutely.
Because this area is known for its barbecue all over the country. So
right.
You're not operating regular restaurant hours that day, though?
No, there's no way we could feasibly do that. Logistically, it's pretty tough just doing what we do. We're cooking out on the street. We do cook in the kitchen as well, just because, pushing that many people, we need as much space and as much fire as we can get to crank out some food.
And that's made for that. The kitchen is made for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're going to have drinks. You're going to have Foothills, right?
Yeah, so I knew the folks at Foothills, Jamie, since before he actually opened. We've been really, really big supporters of him and his operation over the years. So they're the beer sponsor, I guess, of the event. So outside we'll have a beer tent. This year we'll be doing Carolina Blonde, Hopium, and Pilsner outside.
That's Torch, right?
Torch Pilsner, yeah.
Okay.
And then inside Cash Bar will be open. We've got full-on taps as well as some other options online for the people who don't necessarily like hoppy or the other styles.
Yeah, or just, it happens that someone might not be a fan of Foothills. But,
but
let's
hope who they are.
Let's hope that's not the case.
Yeah.
But you can get your martini and sit out there and eat seafood. You can get your old fashioned. You can get your port afterwards.
Absolutely, yeah. We're actually going to do a coconut rum punch this year too.
Oh, nice.
So a little drink special, $5. Nice little beachy punch.
To go with your seafood.
Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't want that?
Yep.
And you're going to have entertainment.
Entertainment all day. So from noon until I guess the last band will probably end around 9:30.
Sure.
But music going on all day. Some really good acts. Some guys we've been using for the last probably 5 years.
So they're crowd favorites by this point, because you have your regulars.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you have your new people coming. You want to be impressive.
Yeah.
I've been a part of festivals. You want it to be impressive.
Yeah.
Because you want people to come back next year.
Absolutely.
So can you name any of the people that are coming?
I got some family friends, some twins gonna come out. They asked to play, so they're going to come in and do a little hour-long session when we first open at noon.
Sure.
Some probably classic rock stuff. Really talented guys. And then we've got Court Winter and 3 of his bands coming in. Windy Trail Travelers are going to do a bluegrass set. And then he's going to do a funk set, as well as kind of a pretty cool jazz trio that does more jazzy style poppy songs, I guess, which is really cool. We had them in for our 10th anniversary party in February.
Yeah.
And amazing. I was listening to it, background music, and then started paying attention. I was like, hey, that's that song.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Yeah, because I think being a musician that you understand that you're hired to be background music, but if you can move your way into attention, that's always, and that's good for the audience too, because they need sometimes more than just, because sometimes their friends get on their nerves and they're talking. So, hey, let's listen to this song.
Yeah.
No, seriously, shut up so we can listen to this song.
Yeah.
But it's always good. It's good for like the newbies to be able to play that, to get their feet wet.
Right.
And then there's also it's good for the ones that are established, because people know they're going to be entertained. Plus, they get to listen to it while eating some great seafood.
Absolutely, yeah, and they're awesome. I mean, it's some of the most talented musicians I've seen around here. And then our main act be doing a 3-hour set from 6 to 9:30. Rhythm Station. They do the old school Motown R&B kind of stuff, kind of beachy music.
Sure.
And, that draws a really big crowd.
Where are they from?
Kernersville.
Okay.
Yeah.
The entertainment mecca of the universe.
Yeah, exactly. Who'd have thunk it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've been with us, God, in some form or another since the beginning. We've their lead singer passed away a few years ago, but I actually employed him here. Really, really, really great group. A lot of people on stage. The sound is just amazing. So we're looking forward to having them back. They really put on a good show.
Excellent. So let's switch focus for a little bit. For any of our listeners who are not familiar with Meridian itself and why they're not, I don't know. It's not from my lack of trying. What, for the uneducated on this, what would you classify this restaurant as? Both scale and cuisine.
All right. So we are, I would say, upscale restaurant without the pretension.
Yeah.
More relaxed atmosphere.
Yeah.
I don't want people to feel stiff coming in our doors.
Yeah.
We offer that fine dining food and service without the stuffiness. We want.
Yeah. When I come in here, I wear shorts.
Yeah. So do I.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that's one thing. I'm jumping off the subject, or not subject, but I'm jumping in. I am a regular.
Right.
I do push the restaurant. I do enjoy the restaurant. And the thing I've always loved about it is I'm getting that New York upscale dining experience, but I'm be able to hang out with my friends and just talk casually in my t-shirt and shorts and not feel like I'm having to black tie something.
Absolutely.
Although I don't mind black tie, but this is... You can wear a black tie here.
Yeah.
I've seen people in their prom dresses and their wedding reception stuff.
Yeah.
But the two can meet in the middle.
Absolutely.
And I really enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah, it's a pretty diverse crowd here. There is a little stigma that we're the expensive special occasion spot, but I mean, we do tapas at the bars, so if you want to come in for a cocktail and get some little small plates at the bar snacks, that's available. You can come out in the dining room, have a full-on meal, take in the entire experience.
And you can have a full-on meal at the bar, too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's what we usually do.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We have the patio outside, so it's another more casual place to hang out and do it up. But
and you get to see Winston.
Yeah.
It's very, very scenic. Here you go. You're in historic Brookstown neighborhood,
right?
And the entire front and side of the restaurant is glass.
Yep.
So you get the natural light and the natural ambience of the city coming through while you're sitting in here.
Absolutely,
and that's great. And you can see, if you're in the right angle, you can see the skyline, which we have a nice one. So it's a really good thing about this city. The location you're in and what you offer as far as
I mean we're downtown.
experience.
We have parking. So it's nice. We do. I guess as far as classification of the restaurant, we would be considered New American.
Okay.
Heavily influenced by the Mediterranean. So they use about 7 or 8 local farmers within 20 miles of our front door.
Good.
Try to support them as much as possible, have been for decades. So we do typically Southern French, Northern Italian fare. Everything's made in-house, from our pastas to our cheese to all the sausage. I do a lot of charcuterie.
Yeah.
If I can make it better than I can buy it, I'm definitely making it. And it just so happens that over the years, I've learned how to make a lot of things really good.
And you're one of the few places in town that actually offer house-made charcuterie.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's all old world style. It's no pink salts, nitrites, nothing that. It's simply salt and seasonings.
Yeah.
The way food should be. It's
And hanging up in the wine cellar.
yeah, wine cellar back in the walk-in. Wherever it can do its thing is where it's going.
Is it drier back there? Is that why you do it there?
The wine cellar is obviously temperature controlled, and
Sure.
you're looking for typically a 60% humidity and 60% temperature. I have started going back into the walk-in and hanging stuff back there. It might take a little longer, but I've found, especially with salamis and stuff that are hanging, they don't over ferment, and you don't get holes
right
in the meat. So.
And it's consistent because
Absolutely.
like you said, it's climate controlled.
Yeah.
So it's the consistency of the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if I was going to come and order dinner,
Right.
what kind of things on the menu would I find?
Steak, really good seafood, hand-rolled pastas. There should be something for everyone on there. We've got duck on the menu from North Carolina. We've got emu grown in Liberty, North Carolina.
Nice. I like emu. I've had it before. I like it.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
You have antelope
Very
too?
healthy, too. Antelope will be coming back in the fall,
Yeah.
probably October-ish.
Yeah.
That's always a crowd favorite. Our proteins pretty much remain the same.
Yeah.
Depending on what the farmers are pulling out of the ground, starches, vegetables, sauces will revolve around those. Obviously, seasonally inspired as well. So,
And one thing that Meridian is known for as well, and you incorporate your friends, because that's one good thing about Winston-Salem as opposed to a lot of other food markets, restaurant markets. You guys are friends and you work together.
absolutely.
And you have your awful dinner. How many? Once a year?
We do, yeah, in January.
Yeah. And it just so happened I couldn't, because you did it on a Wednesday, and that's when we record the Less Desirable, so I couldn't be here. But it's some exotic stuff.
For Americans.
For Americans, yeah.
It's all the offcuts that we typically don't think about, but the rest of the world just gobbles up,
Yeah, I mean, there's no waste everywhere else. There's plenty of waste here.
Yeah, exactly. We're, and that's kind of how we operate here. Everything gets turned back into something, we butcher everything in house, so all the bones get turned into stock,
Sure.
that gets turned into sauces or soups, yeah, everything should be used. I mean, those animals didn't grow up and die for nothing. We should honor that.
They didn't die in vain. They died
Yeah.
for our pleasure.
It's all about respecting the product.
Sure.
If you're just taking the prime cuts and throwing the rest out, then you're doing a huge disservice to the industry.
And the environment.
Absolutely. Yeah, more so.
That stuff doesn't need to be just out there floating. You need to use it. That's
Yeah.
why it's there.
Yeah, so Awful Dinner gives us the opportunity, and, we started that a few years ago just because, talking with a couple of friends and chef buddies, we wanted to work with those items,
Yeah.
but didn't want to totally commit to putting it on the menu and seeing if it would work.
Yeah, because that's a huge chance.
Absolutely.
But when you do it as a special one-off, then you probably get a good turnout for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first one we started, maybe 8 people showed
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Because, who the hell does an Awful Dinner in this town?
Yeah.
And then over the years, it's really
Mark
grown.
Grohman, that's who.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I don't know whether it's crazy or stupid or a little of both, but I think it's turned out. I mean, we started out with about 8 people, and it's grown to 30-something people.
So what would be a typical offering for Awful?
Well, sweetbreads.
Yeah.
We've done brains. We've done tripe.
I had tripe for the first time last week.
Yeah.
I had it at a Mexican restaurant here
Of
in
course.
town. And
Menudo.
no, it was El
Taco.
El Rancho Taqueria.
Okay. Yeah.
And I liked it.
Yeah.
A lot. I mean, it had like without being grainy like chicken liver. It had the texture to me of chicken liver without that foul taste that chicken liver can be. And liver, to me, the reason I am weary of liver is because it is the body's filter.
Right.
All the bad stuff is going through that.
Still a little safer than whatever.
But the tripe, it was deep fried.
Kidneys,
yeah. It was deep fried, and it was really, it tasted like beef because that's what it's from.
Yeah.
And it's probably fried in beef fat. So my son Trey and I I ordered it on a taco because I'd never had it, and I was scared of it because I do that. But once I realized, okay, I'm just going to eat it, and there are other people eat it all the time. It wouldn't be on the menu if people didn't like it.
Right.
And I went through it because they told me it was something else whenever they brought it out there. And I'm like, well, that looks more like chorizo. And I asked another server, I said, is this chorizo? She goes, yes. I said, well, I've already eaten the tripe. I was wanting to know what it tasted like because I was going through it and it tasted like beef. So that's why I mistook it for that. And she brought us some on a plate. And
nice.
We just both of us sit there and eat it up, even the crumbs.
Yeah, I mean, if it's taken care of and cleaned properly and cooked properly, it's good stuff. You know, it's a lot of those parts. That are kind of overlooked. They're really, really tasty.
What's your favorite of those?
I'm a fan of sweetbreads because to me they're kind of a blank canvas.
Yeah,
you know,
great
texture.
It's like tofu; it takes on whatever you put it with.
Pretty much, yeah. They're good. I like brains.
I've never had that, and it kind of scares me. I'm sure I would eat it if I wasn't told what it was.
Right, really good flavor. Kind of the texture of soft scrambled eggs.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I've done heart, like braised beef heart with like a chimichurri. I've done lamb's tongue, made French fries out of them. One year, I think one of the biggest hits with the chefs and the customers. One year, I did a pigskin linguine, and then on top of that, I put I did a corned beef veal tongue.
Yeah.
A little wild mushroom nage or like a heavy duty stock.
Sure.
Mushroom stock with it. And people still talk about that. So that was pretty interesting. Really tasty.
So people should double up on their Lipitor when they're eating this.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, we call it the gout dinner.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. So congratulations to you on 10 years of the restaurant and 10 years of the Seafood Festival. I mean, it's I've attended a couple of them, and I'm going to try to get to the one that's coming up this week. I have a full weekend, so I'm going to try to fit that in there. But I'm glad that Meridian is here, and I love eating here. I've gotten to be friends with you, and I've gotten to be friends with other chefs in town. So I'm like, okay, where are we going tonight? Where are we going tonight? I got to make a round. I got to be consistent.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, there's a lot of really good talent in town now. It's nice to see, you know.
And that's another reason I love this town so much.
Yeah. It's, I've worked in other markets, and it's pretty cutthroat out here. I think everybody in Winston is really trying to work together and raise the bar and educate everyone about the food we're doing. Yeah. It's a really good food scene, and it's just growing. So.
And like I said, there's a community here. Yeah. Whereas in Greensboro, the chefs would rather cut each other's throat than do anything
Absolutely,
together.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I love about Winston, one of the many things.
Yeah.
Real quick, back to the Seafood Festival. It's $5 to be able to attend the festival.
Yep, that covers all the rentals for the tents, the stage, helps pay for the bands, and then each plate of food is $5. Each beer is $5. Cash bar inside. So I mean, if you bring $20 with you, you can get in, have a couple drinks or a couple plates of food and a drink, and have your lunch. We give you a wristband so you can come and go as you please.
Sure.
But it's a really good time. Bring some sunscreen and bring a lawn chair and hang out in the street with us, and we'll throw a party.
All right, and that is August the 12th. What's the address?
411 South Marshall Street.
Okay. and bring some cash and bring your want for entertainment, because you're going to have that, and bring an appetite, because they're going to feed you well.
Oh yeah, $5 gets you a lot.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
So, Chef Mark, thank you so much for being on the show, and I hope to see you on Saturday.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
The Man Who Ate the Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables podcast network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to the Less Desirables, the Beer Dads, Fan Interference, and Sipping and See, the Art of Drinking. You can find all these podcasts and their latest episode on the website and directory tldpodnetwork.com. If you have Amazon Echo or Echo Dot, you can enable the AnyPod skill and ask Alexa to have AnyPod play the Man Who Ate the Town podcast or any other podcast on our network. I'd greatly appreciate it if you visited my sponsors. First, Washington Perk and Provision Company. The Perk has 2 locations, 228 West Acadia Avenue and 301 West 4th Street in downtown Winston-Salem. They have Wolfie's Custard, Larry's Beans Coffee, eggs, milk, cheese from Homeland Dairy, Creamery. They have condiments, your ketchups, your mustards, your Dijon mustards, bread, the beer and wine wall. Perk has all that. And Perk is better than the convenience store, but not quite a grocery store. Again, 2 locations, 228 West Acadia Avenue, 301 West 4th Street. You can find them on the web, facebook.com/Washington Perk. And the Humblebee Shop, you can find her at 1003 Brookstown Avenue in the west end of downtown. Visit her for cookies, cakes, pies, and other dessert goodies, especially made for you. Everything is carefully crafted and made 100% from scratch. The Humblebee Shop wants to challenge your perception of scratch made and leave you with an experience you couldn't possibly forget. For more information on them, follow them on Facebook and visit thehumblebeeshop.co. And shop is spelled SHOPPE, thehumblebeeshop.co. So keep an eye on my blog and this podcast to find out more about the food news and happenings around town. If you have any food news, please send me an email. Don't leave me out in the dark, and I won't leave my listeners out in the dark. You can send it tim@themanwhoatethetown.com. Like us on Facebook. On Twitter, we are man_who_ate_the_town. And on Instagram, we are Man Who Ate the Town. I really want to thank Mark Grohman again for being on the show with me today. My name is Tim, and I'm closing the recipe box. Until next time, thank you for reading, and thank you for listening. Bon appetit. The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the Man Who Ate the Town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.